I'm Leah Boniface. I live in the very south of the South Island of New Zealand. In my town, I was discerned to be suitable for ordination in the Anglican Church. Therefore, in 1999, I was ordained a deacon, and a year later I was ordained as a priest. I take church services in Riverton. I can do funerals and baptisms and weddings. I'm also involved with the Order of St. John, and I have been since I was 10 years old, and I am now a chaplain and a commander of the order. Tomorrow I shall be taking part in an investiture in Dunedin Cathedral. I was number 5 in a family of 11 siblings, and I knew that I was not really important in the world. It was always the baby who was on mum's knee who was important. So I grew up being fairly independent and being able to look after the 6 siblings younger than me. We were not well off. Our father was retired at age 65 and still had 7 children to support. So we were rather poor by the standards of the day. When I was 14, my family shifted to Riverton from Invercargill, and it was not a shift that I looked forward to, but we soon attended St. Mary's Church in Riverton, the Anglican Church. Our family had been brought up to be Anglican. We had always followed Christian values, and we had not been young people who got into trouble or did bad things, because we were brought up to know that that was not a good way to live. Love, for me, comes in many shapes and forms. To me, love is respect and kindness to all people, and it doesn't matter what colour they are, what language they speak, where they come from in the world. I do like to show love to other human beings by being friendly and kind to them. My husband and I were married when I was 20 years old and he was 23. And we were married for 43 years before he died of motor neurone disease. We loved each other absolutely, and we adored each other. There was nothing he wouldn't do for me and nothing I wouldn't do for him. and I miss him dearly. The first bereavement I experienced was when my grandmother died when I was 10 years old. And it did mean that we could no longer see her. As a child, that was hard to get used to. But I was in my 20s when our father died. He had been sick for some time, and it made a big change in our lives that he was no longer part of our lives. And our mother had to take on being both mother and father to my younger sisters. However, when our mother died 30 years after our father, that was a very big experience. We had to deal with the legal aspects of ownership of property and distribution of what little she had. Next, my husband died, and that was extremely difficult. I had never had a bedroom on my own in all my life. I had always been able to hear somebody else breathing, or, during the night. And that was very reassuring. But when my husband died and I had to have a bedroom on my own, that I don't know if I'm used to it yet. I did know I needed a period to grieve, and I looked at the calendar. He died on the 4th of April 2011, and I looked on the calendar and I allowed myself 6 weeks, and I put a circle around, I think it was the 14th of May, and I said to myself, this is when my solo life begins. And so I have tried to live as best I can on my own since then. However, in 2016, 2017 and 2018, 3 of my siblings died within the one each year. And yes, the difficult thing is learning to live without them in my life. Well, New Zealand is a country that is part of the Commonwealth, and we had always known the Queen as our head of state. When I was 5 years old, she was the first monarch to visit New Zealand, and she and her husband came, and all the children in New Zealand were given a medal to pin on their clothes. Queen Elizabeth was never afraid to profess her Christian faith, and she lived that faith all her life, her 96 years. By example, and I think if we show kindness to other people, generosity of spirit, being prepared to give time to other people, that is more important than being able to just give money. It is quite easy to give money to charities, but to actually give the time to be on the street collecting the money, or in my case I was at the that that sort of thing. It's to show love and kindness and generosity, and we can do that by example, just as Queen Elizabeth II.